The word iterate, it comes from the Latin iterare, meaning to repeat. Thus, an iterative way of working repeats itself over and over, optimizing itself each time it does. In an iterative process, work flows into the product backlog from minimum business increments and from the release roadmap. The product backlog is where the team collects all the work flowing to the team. The product owner prioritizes the product backlog, signaling to the team what work is the most important. At the start of each iteration, the team pulls the work they plan to do from the product backlog into the iteration backlog. This is a key point. The team pulls the amount of work it thinks it can get done during the iteration, not the product owner, team manager, or stakeholders. The iteration is the time box around the team's work. The team starts with the iteration planning and ends with the iteration review. Agile teams usually choose between an iteration length of 1 to 4 weeks, with 2 weeks being the most common choice. Regularly, the team meets for a coordination meeting, also called a stand-up or scrum. The stand-up helps the team coordinate and work in a quick and informal way. The iteration review ends the iteration. This review has 2 parts. It reviews the product and solution built in the iteration and the process, how the team worked together, and what got in their way. In the demo, the team showcases what they accomplished in the iteration. The demo focuses on value delivered and feedback from stakeholders. In the retrospective, the team takes time away from their busy schedule to reflect on how they worked together in the iteration. What aspects made them go faster and be successful? What aspects got in their way of reaching their goals? The team looks both internally, inside the team, and externally, outside the team. The team also lays out a plan to fix some of the points that got in their way during the next iteration. When an iteration is complete, we go back and start over with the iteration planning and pulling work from product backlog into the iteration backlog during the next planning. The agile iterative process contains a series of artifacts and ceremonies. Artifacts are the objects produced within an iteration. Ceremonies are activities that take place during an iteration. For example, the product backlog is an artifact. It's the complete list of work required to create the product. It collects all the work flowing to the team. The iteration backlog is another artifact. That's the list of work to be completed in the current iteration, and it's supposed to be done in the order determined by the team. There are a couple more artifacts that aren't shown on our diagram. User stories capture a description of a feature from an end-user perspective. A user story describes the type of user, what they want, and why. A burn-down chart is a graphic representation of how quickly the team is working through user stories. We actually touched on most of the ceremonies earlier. These include iteration planning, the coordination meeting, the iteration demonstration, or demo, and the iteration retrospective.